The difference between a healthy relationship and loyalty and faithfulness. A healthy relationship requires a certain level of trust and security and healthy communication and problem solving. And those can exist both with and without loyalty and faithfulness. A man can have great communication skills and be unfaithful. A man can have awful communication skills and be faithful. Because there's healthy communication and then there's honesty. Let's say we get into an argument and the argument has nothing to do with faithfulness. I can still be very good at problem solving in that interaction with you. Most of us can understand loyalty. Most of us can understand faithfulness. But I think where most people struggle, it's those day-to-day interactions. Healthy relationship skills like problem solving, conflict resolution, emotional regulation, the being able to talk to your partner even if you're angry with your partner and keeping your cool. Even being able to validate your partner even if they did something you disagree with. Absolutely. And I think that those are the things that encompass a healthy relationship that so many people struggle with.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on the Couples Development Podcast. I am your co-host, Coach Clark, and I am here with my wife,
Coach Mel, and we are a husband and wife team of relationship coaches. So I went ahead and chose our topic for today. So you'd sent me a video, I think it was on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And it was of a relationship podcast. I'm not sure what you would classify it as.
Yeah, it's a relationship podcast.
Yeah. And as I was reading through the comments, I felt a little bit disheartened. Because there was one particular comment, it's like they say hit dogs holler, and I kind of felt it and it kind of disturbed my spirit a little bit. So that's what I'm basing our topic for today's episode on. So I'll go ahead and read the comment just so the audience can know what the comment said, and then we'll get into our conversation for the day.
Yeah. Are you the dog that got hit or hurt or no?
Well, yeah, I'm one of them.
Oh.
I'm within the community. So for me, yeah.
Oh, okay. So this isn't directly at you.
No,
It's basically about...
no.
Okay, that's why I was like, okay, what happened?
That's about the community as a whole.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
understand.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read the comment and then we can get into the topic. So it says, perfect. They always have these talk shows that give quote unquote relationship advice, but have the highest rates of fatherlessness, single parent homes, highest rates of divorce. You begin to wonder, is it even worth it? So that's what the comment said. And it was referencing the Black community in general.
Yeah.
And it even though it sounded a little bit prejudiced, or, who knows what race or ethnicity the person was that sent it. Yeah. Nevertheless, it is something that does bother me often, where I feel like a lot of people prefer to just confirm their biases and just have their feelings soothed, more so than they care about reaching the goals they have for their relationships and marriages. So what I wanted to do in this episode is, the topic that I chose for today is, yes, it's you, because often, there are very few people that want to believe that they're the reason why their relationship is in shambles, or they're the reason why they can't find the relationship they're looking for. They want to blame the other person versus looking inward and figuring out, okay, what might be my role in the breakdown of my relationship or in the breakdowns of my dating experiences. So what I'm going to do here today is we're just going to go through a list of, it's going to be, a deep dive. It's going to have 26 questions, and we'll both can answer these questions so the audience can know a little bit more about our story. So I'll go ahead and put the worksheet on our website, and then the audience, should they choose to take a deeper dive and introspect on their own, they'll be able to go ahead and download that worksheet straight from our website.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Sounds lovely.
Okay. So, so the topic is, as I said, yes, it's you. And the subtext to that is, how do our childhood family dynamics influence our expectations and behaviors in our adult romantic relationships?
So how did growing up affect us as adults, pretty much?
In our relationships, yeah.
Okay, understood. Sounds good.
Question number 1. What were the predominant relationship dynamics I observed between my parents or primary caregivers?
I go first. You go first.
It's up to you.
Okay. Sure, I'll start. What relationship? So the only memory I have of my father and my mother being together, I'm pretty sure younger than 4 or 3. Them fighting. Literally the only one I have. Outside of that, I cannot say that I can remember. I was with my mother the rest of the time. I cannot say that I remember seeing my mother in a relationship. I mean, I've seen her go out on dates, maybe with like 3 different people in for the first 20 years of my life. But can I remember, seeing a man opening a door for her, or, getting her a birthday gift or any of those things? No. I can't say that I remember seeing. So I pretty much don't even know where I got my idea of what you're supposed to do in a relationship, or how you're supposed to present yourself in a relationship, or what it means to then, be a boyfriend per se, let alone a husband. I don't know if I relied a lot on television. But then I'm trying to think of, I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. I'm trying to think of the ideal relationship that I saw. And it's like, I want that one. I can't say that I can think of one. I think I romanticized a lot of couples I see on TV and only took the good and didn't necessarily think any bad was associated, other than the funny moments here and there. But if I had to really think about what a relationship dynamic is with my caregivers, I would say I don't remember now. I have so now I do have a memory of my oldest uncle being at his wedding. I do remember that. I don't remember anything else. I just remember them standing at the altar. That's it. I think it's the only wedding on my side of the family that I've been to. I didn't realize that. I guess pretty bad. And then after that, yeah. I mean, now crazy thing is, the majority of my friends that I grew up with in the neighborhood I was in all had their mothers and fathers at home. And I'd never seen them interact, but again, I would, pretty much fill in the blank and like romanticize it and say, oh, it's so much better on that side.
Yeah.
So, but seeing myself in that, I can't say that I was, 1, not giving any instruction, or 2, did I really see what it's supposed to be about? So yeah, that's my experience.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask a follow-up question here?
Yes.
Yeah. You got to ask. Do you feel like, although you didn't see your parents interact with each other or what their dynamic was like, nor did you really have other family members to kind of gauge what, a healthy relationship dynamic would look like, do you think that you still believe that did you still feel confident that you had the skills and the tools you needed to make a relationship work in a healthy manner?
I never thought about it.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. I'll be honest. I find my, I'm pretty sure my story is, well, I'm going to sound like a special Negro. I feel like my story is a little bit different because I was never, I was girl crazy, yes, but it was like I would always focus on one, and I would not be like, how many. I don't know where I got that from. I don't know who I observed that from, because you know, the previous generation, that kind of, I don't know if I want to generalize, but you know, you hear things in terms of like infidelity and this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't necessarily know. I never thought it was never something I considered.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, again, starting from high school, I'm a child. So, but again, I didn't know, ooh, I have the right, you have what it takes to, you know, be a boyfriend. I just know, I do not know where I got this idea from. I just got this idea that as, you know, a boyfriend or whatever, blah, blah, I'm supposed to be a gentleman. I'm supposed to open her door. I'm supposed to, you know, if we go to Burger King, for God's sakes, McDonald's, whatever it is, you know, I'm supposed to buy her food, whatever it is, right? You know, nowadays, I think it's a bad thing. I don't know. You have to go 50-50 or simping, whatever the hell I need. But from a young age, that's what I understood. As I met you in college, again, same thing. Like, it was just like it was just a thing like, I'm supposed to audition on how well I'm able to take care of you. But it was never something that I actually thought about. It was just, it just happened. But at the same time, I don't know where I got that from. I don't have any examples. I can't think of, oh, you know what? I wanted to be, I'm going to show my age here. I wanted to be like, you know, Dwayne Wade, and Whitney Gilbert, or, I mean, Fresh Prince did it. Well, Lisa, I guess, right? Or Martin and Gina. And even Martin and Gina made more money, and they were kind of like, he was kind of irresponsible, whatever, but he was faithful. You know what I mean? That's one thing that was there. But can I say, this is the example, you know, I could remember, and that's why I, you know, got the idea from? No, I don't know why. I just been like this. I've just been pretty loyal, pretty faithful, and to pride in taking care of, my woman. That was
Can I ask another follow-up question?
No. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that the term healthy relationship and loyalty and faithfulness are synonymous, like within a relationship?
Healthy relationship, loyalty, and faithfulness?
Yes. Do you think those are two synonymous things?
I mean, well, now we're in this age where everything, you know, with poly and whatever, blah, 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 right? Because everybody thinks, oh, it's cool, but they don't really know what it is. I mean, yeah, like, I don't, again, unless you have certain boundaries where, you know, not too long ago, I recently had a gentleman, you know, email me. And one of our clients, he was asking a question about, you know, he took long to get to the point, but he was basically saying that he had a situation with his then girlfriend that, you know, they, you know, he can mess around with other women, and so can she, but just not with, she can't mess around with dudes and everything. And so all of a sudden, she kind of, as usual, a few months went by, she's like, hey, that's not fair. And now she wanted, and then he didn't like that. And whatever. So I'm only saying that because every relationship is different.
Yeah.
I mean, technically speaking, that is faithful because you're not lying, because you're still within the realms of the relationship. Within the boundaries of the relationship. But, like I don't understand if you're doing something that, you know, to your partner that, you know, you wouldn't want them doing to yourself. Are you being loyal? Are you being faithful? You know what I mean?
Would say you're still being loyal and faithful, but there's a difference. For me, there's a difference between a healthy relationship and loyalty and faithfulness. So for me, a healthy relationship requires a certain level of trust and security and communication, healthy communication and healthy problem solving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those can exist both with and without loyalty and faithfulness. So when I think about a healthy relationship, for example, a man can have great communication skills and be unfaithful. A man can have awful communication skills and be faithful. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, faithfulness and loyalty do not equate to healthy relationship skills.
I hear that. Yeah. And I think I agree with you. Didn't say anything wrong. So is omitting the truth part of good communication?
Oh, of course, because there's healthy communication and then there's honesty. So you can have healthy communication. So for example, let's say we get into an argument and the argument has nothing to do with faithfulness. I can still be very good at problem solving in that interaction with you. Do you understand what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with my disloyalty. That has nothing to do with my lack of faithfulness. They're just two completely different things.
But isn't loyalty about making sure you stick by someone's side or always being different?
Yeah, that's loyalty, but that's not healthy communication though. So someone can be faithful and be unhealthy in a relationship. It doesn't only, that's what I'm saying.
Like, cheating isn't the only thing.
Yeah, it's not only cheating or, loyalty. I'm saying like the healthy relationship skills, like the problem solving, the conflict resolution, the emotional regulation, like all of that stuff, I think are the things that people struggle with in relationships. Because I think most of us can understand loyalty. Most of us can understand faithfulness. Don't cheat. And when we talk about cheating, most people are just talking about physical, sexual. They're not talking about the emotional and the fantasizing their minds that their partner doesn't know about, right?
Right.
But I think where most people struggle, it's those day-to-day interactions is where most people struggle.
Okay.
The being able to talk to your partner, even if you're angry with your partner and keeping it cool, even being able to validate your partner, even if they did something you disagree with. I think that's what most people struggle with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that those are the things that encompass a healthy relationship that so many people struggle with. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Everything you're saying, I agree with.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, here's where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
Everything you said there, I'm pretty sure over 90% of couples don't do well at, right?
Yeah.
It's just, right?
Yeah.
But I'm almost certain that the overwhelming majority of them would be okay getting coaching for that or going through therapy for that or learning better skills to improve that, right? A couple where one or both of them are being unfaithful, I don't know how many would be willing to go through that and stick through that, and especially if it's multiple times. A couple that's like, whether it's the man or the woman hiding money or not disclosing, their financial situation, this, that, and the other. Again, that I don't know how people want to stay, and, thug that out per se. And then lastly, in terms of like loyalty, basically like, hey, you're on my team. If I don't know how many people would be okay with their partner just most of the time, if let's say their partner's in trouble or having a discussion or a disagreement, most of the time, if not all the time, siding with right or wrong, not mattering, but siding with who the person is having a dispute with or arguing with and everything else. So I don't know how people would want to stay in that situation. Yeah. So that's why what I'm saying is about, like, I guess I get your thing by healthy relationship. Yeah. Because healthy relationship is before it's like, again, communication, empathy, all that good stuff and everything, which again, I feel like most people don't get that. And most people stay in a relationship that they don't get that.
No, but they don't. That's why our divorce rate is so high.
No. Okay. What I'm saying is, right, it's so high. What I'm saying is, even those who stick it out, for example, what did they say about the previous generation? Oh, they stuck together no matter what. Yeah. Right? Our parents were not using healthy, like, I'm going to generalize, we're not using healthy communication when I feel. Weren't doing that. Yeah. But, either them or their parents, they stayed together through pretty much all the fidelity, this, that, and the other. Yeah. So I guess I'm more so talking about that. Yeah, I'm not saying that divorce rates aren't what they are. Yeah. It's just what would cause, I feel like if someone's, not as good communicating, hey, let's go to therapy for this. If someone is like out there gambling their money away, okay, you got to stop. If they don't, okay, I can't do this anymore. Somebody's like cheating, okay, maybe one time, but if it's not something that they're going to, okay, it's going to take our time for you to stop cheating on me type of thing. Yeah. Does that make sense at all?
I understand what you're saying. It's two things. Number one, from my understanding, what most couples go to therapy for is bad communication, from my understanding. Right. That's the main thing that they drag each other in there for. As far as cheating goes, from my understanding, whether or not someone stays with a cheater, it's based on how their social circle feels about it. So if their social circle will accept them staying in that relationship with that person that's cheated, they're more likely to stay in that relationship. If their social circle is more likely to ostracize them or see them or shame them for staying in a relationship with a cheater, then they're more likely to leave their partner that's cheated. That's just from my understanding.
It makes a lot of sense why men are like, one time done, never.
Yeah.
And women are,
they say that, but it doesn't really work out that way. They just say that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll go ahead and answer question number 1.
Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah. So the question is, what were the predominant relationship dynamics I observed between my parents or primary caregivers? Well, for me, it was more so, there wasn't a lot of outward communication. So I would just say a lot more silence. For me, my parents weren't together, but as far as other people in my household, it was most of the communication was pretty calm. There wasn't a lot of fighting.
Silence.
Yeah, a lot of silence. There wasn't a lot of fighting. And also, I will say that something that how I grew up was I was raised by my aunt and my grandmother. So I wasn't raised by my mother or my father. And it's something that is very common in the Black community that, you know, kids are raised by aunts and uncles or grandparents. And it's a very common thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a common thing. And I think it's called alloparenting, which basically means that when the biological parents aren't there, there are other family members who will raise that child. And from my understanding, what matters most is not necessarily whether or not it's your biological parent, but the type of attachment that you had to the person that took care of you. Right. Yeah. But I'm getting a little bit off track here. But for me, in terms of how I watch people interact in my household, it was just a lot of calmness, a lot of stoicism,
more no emotion, barely any emotion at all.
Not in front of the kids, at least. I can't say what happened, you know, because some adults will not show emotion and certain difficult things in front of children. Yeah. But whatever we see as kids is what we think all that there is. So I can't say how the people in my household interacted as adults when the kids weren't around or behind closed doors. I can't speak on that.
I meant like in front of the kids or whatever. I meant like in front of the kids or whatever.
Yeah. But in front of it was just pretty calm. There wasn't a lot of like yelling or fighting or anything like that.
Got it.
Okay. So can we move on to question number 2?
Yeah.
Okay. How did my parents or caregivers handle conflict and communication?
Very histrionic. My end. I don't. There was a fight of some kind at least once a week.
Yeah.
Some physical, definitely yelling. Everything was a big deal. Yeah, that was my household. It was constantly drama, something, either drama with the siblings, meaning my aunts and uncles, my mother, or with their father, or with their friends, or something. So that's what I saw.
Yeah, and for me it was the opposite. Yeah. I think I saw one. My entire childhood, in terms of like an actual conflict. I'm not including the kids because the kids, you know, they would fight for the TV remote and things like that.
Yeah, of course.
Like in terms of the adults that were living in my household, I think I saw one conflict. So I would say that the way that those conflict dynamics in your household growing up versus the conflict dynamics in my household growing up made our relationship conflict resolution skills really crappy.
Yes.
Because for you, it was the more you fight, the more it shows you care.
Yeah.
And for
Passionate.
me was the opposite. It was, if you're going to fight and say things that are hurtful, you're making things worse. So I did not understand, you know, that we need to fight this out right now. For me, it was just like, let's go think this through. And when we're calm, we can come back and talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Question number 3. Were expressions of affection and love common or rare in my family? How does that affect me now?
Yeah, no, I remember my mother saying, I love you. I remember my mother hugging me. Yeah, I don't think I had that. I remember for sure. You know, she would cook for me all the time. And, yeah. Yeah, that I remember. I don't know if anyone else in the family, but I remember that relationship for sure. That I did get. Again, like not so much from the rest of the family members, but for sure, I wouldn't. Yeah. I did get some kind of embrace or affection from my caregiver, most towards my mother, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I even remember,
I
even remember, like, I went one summer, spent one summer with my father, and even I remember him being, affectionate and hugging and everything else. So, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, I never really remember growing up feeling like there was affection missing because your norm is your norm.
Right.
So for me, I don't remember a lot of, like the I love yous and the hugs and all of that. I don't really, now I can't say whether or not they did happen. I just can talk about what I remember because that's what really affects us. And I think that that's something that some people don't understand. It's not really what happens to us. It's our interpretation of what happens to us. So for me, I don't really remember a lot of affection or, I love yous or anything like that. But, so it made it kind of hard for me in our relationship because, there were certain things that you would complain about affection that I just didn't understand. So it took me a lot of work and time to kind of understand. Oh, okay, I kind of get that now.
Gotta do this thing.
You got to do this thing.
Yeah. Got it. How about you? Oh, you just explained. Sorry.
Okay, next question. Okay, question number 4. How did my family handle emotions like anger, sadness, and joy?
Ooh. Everything, again, I'm going to just mention my mother, who else I was raised with, but if there's like a 0 to 10, everything is 10.
Yeah.
So joy, 10, anger, 10, sadness, 10, just, like I said, it's just crazy, it's emotional, just everything is happening right now. And it's the worst thing or the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that. I'm not like that at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that was, oh my God, come see this. This is the biggest thing ever. Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm going to die soon. It's like, she has like a stomach ache or something. Yeah, that was the norm growing up for me.
Yeah, for me, I would say that I saw a lot of positive emotion, like a lot of laughter, a lot of joy, like, a lot of get-togethers. So my family was one that did a lot of get-togethers when I was growing up. So you would see a lot of that joy, you know, the dancing, the joking around, the telling jokes and everything like that. I think what my family might have been most uncomfortable with is the negative emotions, the anger and the sadness. And I think that they hid that from the kids for good reason, because a lot of adults, we think that we're helping our kids, doing right by our kids by not allowing them to see any negative emotion.
Might be stunting. Might be stunting them.
Right. So it's something that I definitely had to learn, because my natural way was the same way that I grew up, which was with my kids, I don't want them to see the negative emotions from me, because something that one of my biggest fears was them feeling like they had to take care of my emotions. I never wanted them to feel like it's their responsibility to make me feel better. So that was always a huge thing for me.
Wow.
So because of that, I never wanted them to see, if they would come and ask, "Hey mom, are you okay?" My natural go-to was, "Yeah, I'm good." Because I can shut it off like this. Not that I'm feeling any better, but I've been conditioned throughout my life to know how to shut my emotions off when I need to. So it just became my autopilot. Over time, doing my therapy, doing my work, then that definitely changed over time. It still takes a little bit of a pause for me to say, it's okay for your kids to see that you have many different emotions, that you are a human being.
Correct.
It took me a lot of work through therapy to get comfortable with allowing them to see that mom sometimes, gets in moods too.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to get there, but I will say that's how I grew up. It was just, I can't think of many angry moments in my household. I can't think of many sad moments outside of like death or like things that really,
like that.
If it's someone died or something like that, then then you'd see a lot of sadness and grief and hurt. But as far as just like day-to-day life, when just regular stresses with your boss or bills or arguments with your sisters, brothers, I didn't grow up seeing a lot of how to handle those negative emotions. And I think we do our kids a disservice by not allowing them to see that we can have negative emotions and how we repair those negative interactions with each other after the fact. That's the important part. But we don't do those things in front of our kids. Therefore, they never learn the skills to recognize that, oops, I messed up, but I can repair this relationship and this other person will still love me nevertheless. That's something that I had to learn to do with our kids. So.
They're like nuances.
Yeah.
It's like this or this.
Yeah, the black and white.
And then it creates children who are perfectionists. Per se.
Yeah.
It's like
Or
they're
the
not supposed
opposite.
to- yeah, they go all the,
Yeah.
I want to feel all my feelings.
Yeah.
And emote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question.
Yes.
Okay. Question number 5. What roles or responsibilities did I assume in my family as a child?
I don't remember what role I assumed. I just, I just existed. I don't remember
Okay.
you're, this or what. I don't have any sort of, this is a great question, by the way. But yeah, I don't have any sort of, I don't remember that. No.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. I remember my role was to just stay out of the way. And not that I was ever, not that I was ever given that label, but when I was just one of those kids, I was just very intuitive as a small child. So it's like, I could, even though those pains were unspoken, the stresses were unspoken, and the adults in my household, I could still feel them. I could still read their nonverbals. So they unintentionally sent the message that they had too much going on, and me having too much going on would be too much of a burden, would be too much more for them to handle. So for me, I took on the role of just being invisible. It's like, be the perfect kid, don't get in trouble, do great in school, stay quiet, be in the background, just don't ask for anything, don't ask for money, So
be invisible.
Be invisible. And I definitely grew up in that way. Now, I will not blame my caretakers for that because they never verbalized any of this to me. But just as a child, I just kind of, kids pick up things a lot unconsciously. And they just start to pick up strategies to kind of for survival. For themselves. And sometimes we can make ourselves responsible when we're kids for our caretakers or for our parents. So I definitely did fall into this habit of feeling like, don't burden anyone. You know what I mean? So I felt like my role was be invisible, don't cause any problems, be perfect, that the whole 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you see how the others in your age group, how it affected them as well? Or how whatever you think, whatever roles, whatever think
like
roles,
cousins or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think everyone had their own role. And I think that if people really stop and think about it, they'll be able to realize the role that they played in their family. It's not something that we really think about, but it can be helpful to think about it because whatever role we play in our families, often we will play that same role in our adult romantic relationships. So, but it can be a painful thing to do. So I will tell anyone, if you have a lot of childhood pain, it's probably best to do that with support before you go deep into thinking about your past or anything like that. But I do think that it's good to know because then you can see how you're showing up in your relationships. Because again, the title of this video is Yes, It's You. And most people, they just don't want to look at themselves. They want to assume that it's all the bad is in the other person, 100%. All the good is in me, and all the bad is in this other person, So
yeah, I got it. Yeah. Next 6.
Okay. Did I witness healthy boundaries being set and respected in my family? That laughs at everything.
Next question.
Okay.
No. No.
Yeah.
But what about you?
I would say yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like in my household, you knew everybody's boundaries. Like it's not like we had this therapy language to say my boundary is this or that, and or my boundaries are loose or my boundaries are rigid. We didn't have that language, but you knew what those boundaries were. Like with each and every person in your house, in our household. So, and that was one of the points of contention in our relationship was because for you, boundaries meant a lack of love.
Correct.
So it was like, if you say no, or if you say not now or anything like that, that meant that there wasn't enough love there.
Correct.
For me, it was the opposite, where it would feel very invasive, where it was just like, hey, this is, do you understand what I'm saying? And that can cause a lot of conflict in a relationship. When people have different ideas of what love looks like.
Yeah.
So,
and that's where understanding each other's personality types and attachment styles and like that comes into play because then you don't take it as personal.
Which is easier said than done, because when people are calm, they will say it. But then when emotions kick in, it's almost like all of that goes out the window until they learn to do better, I guess. Did you answer that one? Boundaries?
I did. There was
But let me say something here too. I think that within the Black community, there's this idea that children aren't allowed to have boundaries.
Bingo.
And it's weird.
That's Tibby.
No, but it's weird because if you don't teach your kids, how to set boundaries when they're kids,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you think that when they become adults, they'll know how to do it? It's like you just think that they'll just automatically be able to do it.
Well, we're assuming that the adults raising these kids know how to set boundaries themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I'm pretty sure they do their children though. Like, don't go in my room, knock before you come in.
Yeah.
Don't take my stuff without you asking.
Yeah.
But I have the right to go in your room whenever I want to.
Absolutely.
I have the right to go through your drawers whenever I want to. I have the right to dig in your book bag whenever I want to.
As long as as long as I pay bills in this house, you will my rules, blah blah. You don't have a door. I think all that good stuff. Yeah.
So so when we think about how a lot of children are raised, it's amazing that we'll still be surprised why we have so many struggles in relationships as adults. It's just Okay. Next question. How did my family handle mistakes and failures?
Oh, damn. Wow. I don't know. I know that I was spanked. I don't know how, well, trying to think about my mother, she had like did she ever make mistakes? Yeah, I don't think it was ever shared. Hey, this is going on or whatever. It's just, I don't think it was ever shared. It was just, there's a lot I had to learn on my own.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that any of those things are shared. So, oh, my bad, or I'm sorry. Okay, I'll do this. Have I ever heard growing up the words "I'm sorry"? No, I have not. Or any of those things. That definitely haven't heard that. Yeah. How about you?
I would say for me, probably the same. Not the I'm sorry part, because that I did hear, but more so the mistakes and failures. I don't know how my caretakers handled their mistakes and failures. And this is going to sound really bad, but I can't even say how they handled my mistakes and failures because I was fairly perfectionistic when I was a kid, and it's still a struggle now sometimes. So because of that, I can't even think of many big mistakes or that you would think a child would make that I even made, not from a good reason, because often it's like there's this quote that says, if your child never messes up, you failed as a parent, because it's their job to mess up and learn from those mistakes.
And most won't understand that.
Right. Yeah. Because they're supposed to fall and bump their heads, mess up and learn, lessons. And at the same time, understand that even though I messed up, mom and dad or whoever my caretakers are, they still love me and they still care for me. And we don't do a really good job at showing kids like a holistic humanity. Like we don't do a really good job of that, I don't think.
I would have to agree. To answer your question, how they handled their mistakes and errors or failures, I think in hiding. I think they handled it behind closed doors, in private. And they handled their mistakes or failures or errors in silence because they were never shared those things with you. And then as a child, it makes you think that these people are perfect and everything they do and decisions they make are perfect. And then you tend to compare yourself to that and wonder why you are still making mistakes, and you beat up on yourself for that. So, how they handled it in quiet, behind closed doors and secret, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that impacted our relationship in any way? Like growing up watching adults like not really discuss or talk about mistakes and failures and kind of just hiding them or avoiding them?
It could have been because prior to therapy and prior to understanding everything, I would be very hard on myself for making any mistake at all. I guess that's where I got my perfection. I got certain things where I'm perfectionist about, not all things. Not all things. But I can't remember, hey, this is happening and now I have to figure out how to fix it. It was just all behind the scenes. So so then I guess for you to be good at adulting, you cannot make mistakes. And if you make mistakes, how good are you?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think that also ties into how does a child who gets the message you shouldn't make mistakes and you shouldn't fail. I wonder how that impacts their ability to ask for support and help when they're an adult. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure that plays a big role in it, because if you're not supposed to make mistakes, then asking for help might be even worse, because it's not that you're making a mistake, but you can't even do it by yourself.
Yeah. Next question. Were there any significant traumas or losses in my childhood that might still affect me?
I would say not having someone to call dad. And being able to see that, I would say that played a major role in my life. Played a major role in being sure of myself and second guessing and negative self-talk and all types of stuff. That definitely, it still continues to have an impact on me. I mean, I'm better now than I was, way better, because therapy is important, right? But that good job, son thing, I mean, it's like, never experienced that like that, good job, son. I never experienced that. And again, I might be, like I said earlier, I might be romanticizing it, like, oh, this is so important, but it's not something I heard before. And so how did that affect me?
Yeah.
It made me think that maybe I don't know how to do a job good.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
like, what does that look like? Like, how do you know when you did a good job?
I don't know. So, I mean, you have your opinion, but if you're self-aware enough, you understand that not everybody will have the same opinion that you have.
Yeah.
And, you don't have a mirror in front of you the whole time to tell you who you are, but a lot of people act like they do.
Right.
And, being able to be open enough to, hear someone else's experience about you is important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's why that whole, good job. You want to understand, what it looks like. So yeah.
I think my answer is fairly similar. I think, in terms of significant losses, I think not being raised by my mother or my father contributed significantly to the imposter syndrome I dealt with my entire life.
Wow.
Which is very similar to what you were saying. It's almost like you're always second guessing, not good enough, and it can be a lifelong struggle. The difference is that once you start, seeing yourself, it's not that the imposter syndrome thoughts go away. They don't go away, but you're able to question them. You know what I mean? So what I learned to do is not that they went away. They're still there. But it's, I recognize that I question them. Like, where did this story come from? And that can be really life-changing and really powerful to be able to question your own, to question your own thoughts. Because often we tend to think we are our thoughts.
Yes.
And one of the most powerful things I've ever heard, and I repeat it to myself constantly as a mini affirmation when those negative thoughts do kick in, and that is, the heart beats, the brain thinks. So basically, the same way you wouldn't spend your time beating up yourself about how your heart beats, that's its job. It's what it does.
It's supposed to do that. Yeah.
The brain thinks it's going to have thoughts. Things are going to flow by, but that does not mean that those thoughts are who you are.
That's big.
That's something that it's an affirmation I say to myself in my head, obviously. Every now and then when those negative ruminations and those negative thoughts have to kick in, it's like, the heart beats, the brain thinks, you're not your thoughts. You know what I mean?
I love that.
And that has helped me a lot with my imposter syndrome. Just that little tiny thing.
No, that's awesome. I'm actually going to take that in. Yeah.
I thought I told you that before.
No.
Okay.
First time I'm hearing it. So,
okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. What messages did I receive about my worth and value as a person?
My worth and value. Yeah. I don't know that, not directly, but indirectly, I don't know where it came from. although if I think about it some more, I probably can. I think indirectly, I was told that if you want love, what are you going to do for it?
Yeah.
You have to perform for it. You can't just, get it.
Yeah.
That's not how love works.
Yeah.
You have to perform for it. And so what it taught me was I'm not worthy of being loved unless
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what the message was indirectly.
Yeah.
And so it led to like people pleasing stuff, me not having boundaries, meaning me, basically blending into whoever I'm around, me worrying a lot about people liking me, being accepted, things like that, and not necessarily working on myself internally. It just became a thing where I needed to please these people.
Yeah.
As long as you please these people, you will have a place to stay. And that's kind of like, I think, the indirect message, I believe. I received, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. I think mine was kind of similar, but not really. It's kind of similar because for you, if I heard you correctly, you were saying that for you, you felt like as long as you performed whatever correctly was, whatever that looked like, you felt like you would get love. So whatever that performance might have been.
Yeah.
For me, it was similar, but a little bit different where it was like, there was no performance that would lead to love. So it was kind of like, no matter the grades, no matter the awards, but that was not anything directly, right?
Yeah.
But when you have caretakers that are stressed out and they're overworked and they're trying to make ends meet, they can unintentionally be misattuned to their kids.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I say here that misattuned parents is not always intentional.
Right.
Most of the time, it's that stress,
yeah.
Life, bill. So it takes it can take parents a very conscious effort to recognize that, okay, my kid needs something here.
Yeah.
Especially for us quiet kids, it can be even harder because the ones that act out their pain, you're going to notice, right? Yes, you're going to spot them. They're acting out their pain.
Yes.
But kids like me, where it was like, you just go internally and you shut your pain off. It can be very easy for parents to not notice that child. She's fine. Right. It's kind of like in school with teachers. It's like, the students who do well get no attention from the teacher type of thing, you know?
And the bad kid has to sit in the front.
And the bad kid gets all the attention all the time and all of that. So, for me, it was a kind of like we were talking about with the imposter syndrome. It's like nothing is ever going to be good enough, you know? So yeah.
Yeah. That was great, man.
Yeah. How did my family view and handle issues of trust?
Never had. Okay. Well, one thing I remember. One thing I remember saying all the time is, blood is thicker than water.
Oh, my favorite.
Right? For anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. Like, oh, where's the remote? I can't find it. You only have one mother. It's like,
okay. Sorry, hold on. Yeah. Go ahead.
You only have one. We're looking for the remote, right? Like, what's what if I die? What would you do? Like, I don't know. I just want to watch TV, dude. Like, so yeah, there was a lot of that. Quite a lot of that. So it's like, it was very, I want to say you are nothing. Maybe that's your previous question too. You are nothing without me taking care of you. And you need to cherish that and preserve that, because once I'm gone, who's going to take care?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, and that's kind of like how, maybe the trust was set up is like, you don't double cross me. I have to be able to, have faith in you per se.
Yeah.
And, that's how it was done on my side of the house.
Yeah. The question of trust is a little bit hard for me to answer. Only because the way that I viewed trust was just such an unconscious process, where I don't remember ever having the thoughts like, do I want to be around this person? Do I trust this person? Or anything like that. It was just kind of like, take care of yourself. So everything just became self-reliance. So I think that because I have this self-reliant part of my identity, I would say that growing up, I probably felt like trust was missing, like the trust in my caretakers, but I can't consciously tell you that. I can't, because I don't have any memories of thinking, I don't trust you here, or I don't trust you there, or you're lying to me here, you're lying to me there. But I think that because I've adopted this identity of self-reliance, there would have had to have been a lack of trust, because we lean on the people we trust. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. This is getting really heavy, man.
It's
good. It's good though. Listen.
I mean,
I don't know if most people can, they were like, oh, I'll watch.
Yeah.
You guys put that out there. But,
yeah. But that's one of the things that I dislike a lot about the culture. I think that we live in a culture. Yeah. We live in a culture where my life is perfect and yours isn't,
Look at your life.
Yeah. That's the culture that we live in.
I would never do that.
Yeah. That's just the culture that we live in. And I think that there's, the concept of shared humanity seems to be threatening to a lot of people. But that's what we all have in common.
I have a quick hypothesis on that. Can that stem from like our past in terms of like what is it called? Crabs in a bucket, and basically wanting to present like we're better Negroes than these, so that, the master would select us type of thing, not necessarily have anything. Like kind of like we're the good ones that, deserve to be, let's say, inside the house or better shit, as opposed to the bad ones. It's kind of like we're always competing as opposed to seeing each other's pain and kind of like being. I don't know.
There could be a relation, but I don't think it's race specific. I think that humans in general struggle with this concept that that other person is as human as I am.
Got it.
I think that as humans, we expect forgiveness and we struggle to give forgiveness. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Like do you understand what I'm saying? It's just something, and it's not just forgiveness. We also struggle it's also easier for us to give compassion to other people than it is for us to give it to ourselves.
Absolutely.
So there are just certain things that we create these two boxes of self and other. It's like these things are self, but those things are other. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah. Next.